Chosen one, listen. Heaven has paused everything around you for this very moment. You stand here because something in your spirit obeyed when others hesitated, resisted, or ran. You didn't even realize the magnitude of what you did. One quiet yes, one hidden act of obedience, one choice that nobody applauded, but heaven witnessed. And in that moment, something ancient snapped. A curse that sat on your bloodline for generations lost its legal right over you. You felt nothing dramatic, no thunder, no shaking, but the realm of the spirit shook violently because you finally aligned with the voice that has been calling you since childhood. You are not like the rest. You have never been. You sensed that there was a weight on your shoulders long before you understood what it meant. You carried battles your family never spoke of. You wrestled with invisible resistance that made no sense. You questioned why you had to fight so hard just to breathe, just to stay standing, just to stay sane. Beloved, it was because the curse recognized your potential long before you did. And the moment you obeyed fully, without bargaining, without half steps, it broke. You feel something stirring even now, don't you? A shift in your atmosphere, a strange peace wrapping around your ribs, a sense that something is watching over you. That is not your imagination. That is the aftermath of victory. That is heaven acknowledging your obedience. That is the sound of chains falling in the spirit. And that is the first whisper of the two angels now being dispatched toward your life. You feel a strange light sweep across your mind, as if an invisible door has just been opened behind you. It is the confirmation that you've stepped out of the old territory. The walls that once trapped you are cracking, making room for a new realm rising before you. A gentle spiritual breeze glides through your soul, carrying the thin, delicate sound of victory. No one hears it but you. Heaven is speaking the language of the obedient, quiet, yet unstoppable. And you, chosen one, are being summoned forward into a destiny that only the surrendered can enter. In this very moment, you no longer stand alone. The silence around you has become sacred ground where angels place their feet. A wave of safety settles over you, not from people, but from the one who witnessed the moment you surrendered and obeyed. The old chaos is breaking away. You may not see it with physical eyes, but the spiritual realm is glowing around you. Two angels are drawing closer, carrying gifts your bloodline has never touched. Favor, open doors, divine intervention. Everything is being sent toward you for one holy reason. You chose obedience when it mattered most. But before they arrive, you must understand this truth. Curses do not break through noise and chaos. They break through obedience. The Spirit spoke through the prophet Jeremiah. Chapter 1, verse 8. Do not be afraid, for I am with you and will rescue you, declares the Lord. That rescue was activated because you obeyed the nudge that didn't make sense, the instruction you almost ignored, the conviction you tried to shake off. Chosen one, hear this. Your obedience did what deliverance sessions, midnight cries, and endless striving could not do. You opened the door heaven had been waiting on. Darkness lost access. Ancestral patterns shattered. Cycle collapsed. And now, two angels of favor have been summoned to escort you into the next era of your destiny. But pause. Before you walk further into this narrative that heaven is unfolding, you need to seal this moment. You need to acknowledge the shift. You need to align your voice with what heaven is already saying over you. If this message is pulling at your spirit, if something in you recognizes the truth of what's happening, then you must act. Like, share, and comment to declare that you step into what God is releasing over your life. And if you haven't yet, subscribe, because messages like this are not random. They are assignments sent at the exact moment your spirit is ready for them. Now breathe. Feel the change settling on you. You are stepping out of what once held you, and stepping into what has been waiting for you since before you were born. This is only the beginning. The angels are already approaching, and they are carrying favor you have never seen before. Comment the number 777 to mark the breaking of the curse and the opening of your new season. You feel the atmosphere around you thicken, as though the very air is paying attention to you. After the breaking of the curse, heaven does not leave you standing alone in the aftermath. No, heaven responds. And in your case, the response is immediate, intentional, and deeply personal. 2 angels step forward, summoned by the echo of your obedience, not summoned by desperation, not by fear, not by chaos, but by obedience, which is the highest language heaven listens to. You do not see them with your natural eyes, but your spirit senses motion, movement, like a shift in gravity, like something heavy and holy is entering the room. You feel watched, not in fear, but with the weight of divine responsibility. Someone has been assigned to you. 2 beings. In fact, heavenly ones, and they carry authority unlike anything you've ever felt before. The first stands to your right, the second to your left. They are not identical, and they do not serve the same function. One carries breakthrough, the other carries protection. One opens doors, the other guards them. One brings what you prayed for, the other ensures nothing can steal what you receive. Heaven does not waste angels. They are assigned with precision, with purpose, with instructions written from the throne. The ancient words recorded in Romans still echo today, anchoring your spirit in truth as the 2 angels take their place. If God is for us, who can be against us? These angels are the living demonstration of that promise sent, because heaven has chosen to stand with you. You sense that they have been observing you long before this moment, waiting, watching, measuring your steps, your decisions, your sincerity. They were not permitted to intervene while the curse still had legal authority over your life. But the instant obedience broke that contract. Heaven released them with no delay. You feel the shift, the permission, the divine yes hovering over your path. The first angel, the angel of favor, carries an atmosphere of accelerated movement. Wherever this angel goes, resistance collapses, bureaucracy bends, delays break. People who once ignored you suddenly remember your name. Doors that stayed shut open effortlessly. This angel touches systems, hearts, opportunities, and pathways that once denied you access. The second angel, the angel of safeguard, carries weight, spiritual, emotional, mental. You feel this one like a wall at your side, like a presence that watches everything with sharp, unwavering focus. This angel is not here for movement. This angel is here for protection. Protection of your mind from old patterns. Protection of your heart from old wounds. These angels do not speak with voices you hear, but their instructions are clear. They align with the prophecies spoken over your lineage. They step into the timeline you have been destined to carry. They come not because you are perfect, but because you are chosen, and they stand beside you with the seriousness of guardians who understand your calling better than you do. As they take their positions, you notice something shift inside you. A stability forms, a steadiness, a clarity you didn't have before. You are not imagining it. This is the effect of their presence. You are being lifted into a higher spiritual atmosphere where discouragement cannot cling to you the way it used to. Thoughts that once overwhelmed you begin to lose their grip. Emotional storms that once drowned you now feel distant, almost powerless. You are stepping into a realm where protection and favor are not concepts, they are companions. The angel of favor leans forward, figuratively speaking, analyzing the paths ahead of you. This angel looks for openings, opportunities, divine alignments. You feel the subtle pull towards something new, something that feels like destiny calling your name. It may come in the form of a conversation, a thought, an unexpected invitation, an idea that refuses to leave. Favor is never random, it is strategically deployed. The angel of safeguard positions itself with a silent vow. This one is not passive. You will feel its presence when people approach with hidden motives, when environments shift into danger, when something is said that your spirit needs to notice. A strange discomfort, a tightening in your chest, a moment where you suddenly know, this is not for me. That is this angel, signaling you with precision. Your life is no longer unprotected. Your destiny is no longer vulnerable. Your steps are no longer unguarded. And as you stand between these two angels, something becomes clear. Heaven is investing heavily in you. Not because you whispered a prayer, not because you begged, but because you obeyed. Heaven sends angels to those who matter to the divine story. And you, chosen one, matter. This is not imagination. This is not coincidence. This is alignment. The curse broke. The angels arrived. Your story is shifting. You have always felt it long before you had language for it. Long before anyone around you understood. The weight you carried was not ordinary. It did not come from your environment, your upbringing, or your mistakes. It came from the spiritual responsibility placed on you long before you were born. You were marked, chosen one. And even when you didn't know why life felt heavier for you than for others, heaven knew. You grew up sensing things others ignored. You noticed emotional shifts in rooms before anyone said a word. You absorbed pressure that didn't belong to you. You carried burdens that weren't nameable, yet they shaped the way you walked through life. You weren't dramatic, you were sensitive to the unseen. You weren't weak, you were spiritually awake. And the enemy targeted that sensitivity, hoping to overwhelm you before you learned how powerful it truly is. Every disappointment hit you deeper. Every betrayal cut sharper. Every setback felt personal, not because you were fragile, but because your spirit was engaged in battles no one else recognized. You weren't just fighting daily struggles, you were fighting generational shadows. You weren't just trying to survive, you were resisting patterns your family normalized. You didn't understand why everything felt so intense. But intensity has always been the mark of those heaven chooses. According to what is revealed in the book of Proverbs, a truth rise like light over your memories. Proverbs chapter 24, verse 10. If you faint in the day of adversity, your strength is small and chosen one. The fact that you are still here proves that your strength has never been small. You endured days that would have crushed others. You walked through storms that were meant to drown you. You survived seasons you were never supposed to emerge from. You carried what generations before you could not carry, and even when you felt exhausted, your spirit refused to quit. That refusal is part of your calling. There were nights you cried alone, not because you were weak, but because your soul was processing battles heaven never intended you to fight alone. Nights when the voices in your head were louder than the world around you. Nights when you questioned your worth, your purpose, your sanity. You didn't realize it then, but those nights were proof of your assignment. Darkness always attacks the ones who carry the most light, and you carried more light than you ever recognized. Your sensitivity, your empathy, your intuition, they were never flaws. They were indicators that you were designed as a spiritual receptor. You feel deeply because you see deeply. You hurt deeply because you discern deeply. You process deeply because you are connected deeply to heaven's movement. The weight you carried was not punishment, it was preparation for what is coming now. When the curse broke, it wasn't just chains falling off your life, it was pressure lifting from your spirit. You may not fully realize it yet, but you are already breathing easier. The heaviness you used to wake up with is loosening. The confusion that sat on your mind like fog is thinning. The spiritual exhaustion that made every step feel uphill is beginning to unravel. You are entering a season where the weight is shifting off you and onto heaven's assigned angels. But before you step forward, you must acknowledge something sacred. You survived because you were chosen, not because you were lucky, not because you were strong all the time, but because heaven refused to let you collapse under a burden that would one day testify of your anointing. Look back at your life for a moment. Think of everything that tried to break you, every heartbreak, every loss, every moment where you whispered, "I can't do this anymore." And yet, you did. You rose again. You kept walking. You kept fighting. You kept believing, even when belief hurt. That endurance is the signature of destiny. And now, your story is shifting. But you must activate something right now, something small, simple, yet spiritually powerful. Write this declaration in the comments: I rise. End. Just 2 words. But they carry a mantle. You are not writing them for me. You are writing them for your own spirit, for your own future, for heaven to witness. When you declare, I rise, you are testifying that the weight that once defined your life no longer owns you. You are declaring that the one who was crushed is now being lifted. You are aligning your voice with the story heaven is now writing for you. Write it boldly. Write it knowingly. Write it because rising is exactly what you were created for. The weight you carried was real, but the favor coming is greater. You may not realize it yet, but the moment you obeyed, truly obeyed, not out of fear, not out of pressure, but out of surrender, something irreversible happened in the invisible realm. Realms do not shift because of noise or emotion, they shift because of obedience. And your obedience was not a small act. It was a spiritual earthquake. You didn't feel the ground move beneath your feet, but heaven did. What you thought was just a quiet yes became a legal decree in the courts of heaven. The moment you aligned your will with God's instruction, a spiritual law was rewritten. What once had permission to hover over you, stalk you, sabotage you, and recycle patterns through your life, suddenly lost its authority. Darkness knew it instantly. Heaven celebrated instantly. Your spirit felt it slowly, but it felt it nonetheless. You stepped into a different realm the moment you obeyed. That is why things feel unfamiliar now. That is why you sense change, even without seeing evidence yet. You are walking in an atmosphere that no longer carries the imprint of the old curse. As Jesus himself declared in the Gospel of Matthew, a truth rises like thunder over your new path. Matthew, chapter 7, verse 24. Everyone who hears these words of mine and puts them into practice is like a wise man who built his house on the rock. You didn't just hear, you practiced. You built. You obeyed. And because of that, your entire foundation has shifted from sinking sand to immovable rock. What you did may have seemed small. Maybe it was a choice to forgive someone who wounded you deeply. Maybe it was a decision to let go of a destructive pattern your family normalized. Maybe it was choosing integrity when compromise felt easier. Maybe it was stepping away from a relationship, a beat, or an environment that drained your purpose. Maybe it was listening to that whisper that would not leave your spirit alone. Whatever it was, heaven counted it as obedience, and that obedience carried the weight of generations. There are acts of obedience that change days. There are acts of obedience that change seasons. And then there are acts of obedience that change bloodlines. Yours was the third kind. The curse that once wrapped itself around your lineage always relied on disobedience to keep functioning. Generational cycles feed on repetition. Darkness thrives when people ignore conviction, silence spiritual nudges, or remain loyal to old wounds rather than new direction. But you uniquely, courageously broke the cycle. You were the one who said, "This ends with me." Perhaps not in those exact words, but in your actions. Heaven heard them clearly, and that obedience caused a spiritual contract to dissolve. Old agreements were shredded. Old patterns lost access. Old spirits lost territory. What clung to your family for decades now cannot cling to you. But the power of your obedience goes deeper than breaking something. It also created something new, something holy, something strong enough to carry the weight of your destiny. When you obeyed, you activated alignment. Alignment is not a feeling, it is a spiritual law. It means heaven can now move on your behalf without resistance. It means angels can operate without legal opposition. It means blessings can reach you without being intercepted. It means your name rises in the spirit realm like a key that finally fits the lock. In this realm, obedience is not a rule, it is a weapon, and you wielded it with purity and intention. Even without fully understanding its power, heaven honors that. The shift you triggered is still unfolding. You may notice subtle signs: peace where there used to be anxiety, clarity where confusion used to live, strength where weakness once drained you. These changes are not emotional, they are structural. Your spiritual architecture is being rebuilt in real time. You might also feel moments of sudden heaviness, not as a burden, but as a spiritual stretching. That is normal. When realms shift, your spirit adjusts to the new elevation. You are no longer carrying the weight of the curse. You are carrying the weight of the mantle. And the mantle always feels different. But understand this: obedience is not a one-time event. It is a path, You stepped onto that path, and now you walk on ground that your ancestors longed for but never reached. Your lineage has waited for someone with your level of sensitivity, strength, and courage. You were chosen because you could carry what they could not. The realm around you continues to shift even now. The atmosphere is still rearranging itself to accommodate your new authority. The old realm recognized your obedience and lost its grip. The new realm recognized your obedience and welcomed you in. You didn't just change your life. Chosen one. You changed your spiritual location. And nothing, absolutely nothing, will be the same again. The moment the curse broke, something ancient and glorious shifted over your life. You may not see it with your physical eyes yet, but your spirit already feels the tremor of change. Heaven has opened what I call the favor gate, a realm where resistance weakens, opportunities breathe, and blessings begin to travel toward you with a new velocity. It is not random. It is not luck. It is the result of divine alignment meeting divine timing. Favor is not simply a blessing. Favor is a wind. And right now, that wind is moving toward you. You may imagine it like the first breeze after a long drought, gentle at first, barely noticeable, but carrying the scent of coming rain. That breeze signals that the atmosphere has shifted, that the dry ground is about to open, that seeds buried for years are finally ready to break through. Favor comes the same way, subtly, then suddenly. According to what is revealed in the writings of David in the Psalms, your spirit is reminded of this truth. Psalms, chapter 5, verse 12. For you bless the righteous. O Lord, you surround them with favor as with a shield. That is the exact motion happening around you now. Favor is circling your life like an invisible guard, preparing the way before you. And as favor approaches, your world starts rearranging. People who once overlooked you begin to notice your presence. Situations you thought were closed suddenly shift in your direction. Paths that were blocked start clearing like mist under the morning sun. Favor does not ask for permission. It moves with divine authority. But I want you to understand something deeper. Favor is not only a blessing, it is a responsibility. When heaven pours favor onto a person, that person becomes a vessel, a career, a lighthouse in the dark. The favor coming to you is not meant to inflate you, it is meant to equip you. Like a lamp that is lifted high, you are being positioned so that others may see hope through you. Let me paint this picture for you. Imagine a seed underground. It feels pressure, darkness, and weight. The soil suffocates it, hides it, and presses against every side. But then, without warning, rain begins to fall. The soil softens. The pressure changes. The seed cracks open, not because of struggle, but because of divine timing. Favor works the same way. You were buried, but not forgotten. Pressed, but not destroyed. Hidden, but never abandoned. And now, the rain has come. Your obedience was the crack. Favor is the rain. And when the rain falls, what has been buried cannot stay buried. You will begin to notice things shifting subtly. Doors that once required effort suddenly open easily, like heavy gates swinging wide, as though someone on the other side has been waiting for your arrival. Conversations that seem ordinary suddenly turn into divine appointments. Complications untangle themselves. Delays shorten. Obstacles crumble. These are not coincidences. These are the fingerprints of favor. But listen, this moment is sacred, and I want to speak to your heart with sincerity. Messages like this require time, prayer, and the pouring out of spiritual strength. If these words nourish you, guide you, or help you rise into your purpose, I ask gently share this message so it can reach another soul who needs the same breakthrough. Like it, not out of routine, but as an act of agreement with the favor that is coming. Subscribe if you haven't yet. Not as an obligation, but as a way to stay connected to every word heaven aligns with your journey. And if you feel led, only if you truly feel the nudge, your donation becomes a seed that helps sustain the voice speaking life into you. Not a transaction, not a requirement, but a kyot offering, like placing oil into a lamp so it can keep burning through the night. Give only if your spirit feels peace about it. And if it doesn't, your presence alone is still honored. Favor is not bought. Favor is released. And right now, it is being released over your life with force. You are stepping into a season where things that once took years will take months. Things that once required effort will require ease. You will look back soon and barely recognize the path you used to walk. Heaven is accelerating you, lifting you not to brag, but to build, not to shine alone, but to illuminate others, not to rise for yourself, but to rise for your assignment. Feel that gentle wind again. That is the favor gate opening. And you, chosen one, are standing directly under it. The presence of the two angels assigned to you is not always loud. It is not always dramatic. Sometimes their movement feels like intuition. Other times, like a sudden clarity, a shift in timing, or a strange peace that settles on your shoulders as if someone gently placed a cloak over you. These are not coincidences, they are angelic footprints, signs that heaven's messengers are walking beside you, guiding your steps with purpose. You must learn to recognize these footprints, because the more aware you become, the more aligned your spirit becomes with the direction heaven is pulling you toward. Angelic activity increases when destiny accelerates. And your destiny is accelerating now. As was spoken in the sacred texts of old, the ancient words still breathe truth into your path. Exodus, chapter 23, verse 20. Behold, I send an angel before you to guard you on the way and to bring you to the place I have prepared. This scripture is not a metaphor for you. It is a map of what is happening in your life at this very moment. The first footprint you will notice is interruption, holy interruption. Moments where something urges you to pause, to wait, to reconsider. You may think it's hesitation, but often it is your angel gently pulling you away from danger. A cancelled plan, a delayed meeting, a sudden shift in your schedule. These are not always setbacks. Sometimes they are shields. The second footprint is ease. Not because life becomes easy, but because certain decisions feel unusually guided. You may find yourself knowing exactly what to do without overthinking. Ideas that once felt tangled now unravel effortlessly. A path you expected to fight for suddenly clears like fog in morning sunlight. This is the angel of favor going ahead of you, softening the ground beneath your feet. The third footprint is discernment. Your spirit begins noticing things you used to overlook, tones in people's words, motifs hidden beneath smiles, warning signs in conversations that once felt harmless. This is the angel of safeguard sharpening your spiritual senses. Where you once tolerated, you now recognize. Where you once excused, you now perceive. This is protection in its most refined form. The fourth footprint is pressure that feels purposeful, not the crushing pressure of the past, but the stretching pressure of growth. You may feel called to step out of comfort, to release old habits, to declutter relationships, to rise into a stronger version of yourself. This is not anxiety, this is angelic, nudging, urging you into alignment with your next level. And then there is the fifth footprint, peace without explanation. Peace that doesn't match your circumstances. Peace that appears in the middle of uncertainty. Peace that stands like a pillar inside you, while everything around you shifts. This is the signature of angelic presence. Recognizing these signs is not about superstition, it is about tuning your spirit to the frequency of heaven's movement. You are not alone. You were never meant to walk this path blind or unsupported. Your angels are not distant observers, they are active participants in your journey. Their assignment is you, but to walk with them with clarity. You must trust the language of the Spirit more than the noise of the world. The world teaches logic. Angels lead through alignment. The world teaches pressure. Angels move through peace. The world pushes through fear. Angels guide through conviction. You may notice moments where you feel an internal pull towards something or someone. It may be subtle, like a whisper brushing the edge of your thoughts. Pay attention. That is often the angel of favor, directing your steps toward divine appointments, unexpected help, or hidden blessings that you would never find on your own. Other times, you may feel sudden discomfort, an urge to withdraw, a quiet alertness, a sense that something is off even when everything appears normal. That sensation is not random. The angel of safeguard is sounding an internal alarm, gently steering you away from harm, manipulation, or spiritual contamination. These angels don't need words to speak. They speak through motion, through atmosphere, through sudden knowing. They speak to your spirit, not your ears. And as you grow familiar with their presence, you will begin to move differently, more intentionally, more confidently, more spiritually aware. Because once you recognize angelic guidance, you stop settling for anything that pulls you out of alignment with your calling. Now, beloved chosen one, I want you to anchor this moment. You are stepping into a season where angelic awareness will become one of the most powerful tools in your life. So I want you to mark this shift in the comments with the prophetic number 444. Why 444? Because it represents divine protection, angelic order, and heavenly alignment. It symbolizes the four corners of the earth, the foundation being reset, the covering of heaven stretched over you. When you comment 444, you're not typing a number, you're acknowledging that you sense the footprints, that you welcome the guidance, and that you are ready to walk with heaven's messengers intentionally. The curse that once wrapped itself like a shadow around your bloodline did not break quietly. It did not slip away, unnoticed. It shattered violently because it feared you. And this is the part you must understand. Darkness recognized your identity long before you did. What fought you hardest was not attacking you because you were weak, but because you were dangerous to it. Your entire life, you felt resistance that never made sense. Obstacles appeared out of nowhere. Opportunities slipped through your fingers at the last second. Relationships sabotaged themselves. cycles repeated with exhausting precision. You blamed yourself, not realizing that none of it was random. The curse had an assignment: keep you distracted, wounded, confused, and spiritually numb, so you would never discover who you truly are. But even in your moments of doubt, something in you kept rising. Something in you kept refusing to surrender. Something in you kept feeling out of place in environments where others felt comfortable. That something was your calling, a calling the curse could not extinguish. The voice of God thundered in the book of Exodus, revealing a truth that echoes over your journey even now. Exodus, chapter 14, verse 14. The Lord will fight for you. You need only to be still. And whether you realized it or not, heaven fought for you long before you knew there was a battle. The curse feared your awakening. It feared your clarity. It feared your obedience. Because the moment you would step into alignment with what heaven placed inside you, its grip would crumble. And that is exactly what happened. You rose into awareness, and everything that once hid in the dark was forced into the light. Think of it this way. Imagine a kingdom built on deception. Every wall, every structure, every law in that kingdom exists because the truth has been suppressed. Now imagine a single torch, a single flame entering that kingdom. The flame doesn't need to be large. It only needs to be present. Instantly, every corner of darkness is threatened. Shadows scatter. Secrets tremble. That torch was you. The curse relied on silence, secrecy, and spiritual ignorance. But you were born with a sensitivity that made you see what others ignored. You felt spiritual tension without explanation. You sensed danger before it manifested. You saw patterns repeating and questioned them when others simply accepted them. You carried an internal alarm system. Heaven placed within you one the curse could not shut off. And because of that, the curse always knew its time was limited. There were moments in your life when the pressure almost broke you, not because you were fragile, but because the curse was desperate. It threw emotional storms at you. It sent people into your life who mirrored old wounds. It circled you with cycles designed to drain you. But every time darkness tried to push you down, something holy in you rose higher. That resilience was not human strength. It was spiritual inheritance. You survived attacks that were meant to destroy you. You endured wounds that were meant to silence you. You kept walking through fire that was meant to consume you. And in doing so, you weakened the curse without even realizing it. But the moment you obeyed, truly obeyed, that was the final blow. That act of obedience was the war cry darkness hoped you would never release. It was the moment your spirit stood in authority instead of survival. It was the moment you stopped negotiating with your calling and started stepping into it. When you obeyed, heaven didn't just break the curse, it exposed it. It stripped the curse of every legal right. It dismantled every spiritual pattern. It severed every chain tied to your lineage. The darkness that once hovered over your family line like a generational cloud saw you stand, and it knew it had lost. Even now, you may feel remnants of old thoughts, old fears, old patterns trying to cling to you, but they have no authority. They are echoes, not chains, shadows, not prisons. They cannot hold you because the curse no longer owns you. You have shifted from being a target to being a threat, from being oppressed to being awakened, from being pursued to being protected. And the moment the curse realized you were stepping into identity, it feared you because a chosen one who recognizes their own calling becomes unstoppable. Now you walk forward, not as someone trying to escape the past, but as someone carrying the authority to rewrite the future. You carry the torch that generations before you were meant to carry but could not. You carry victory in places where others only knew defeat. You carry clarity where others walked in confusion. You carry purpose where others lived in cycles. And because the curse feared you, it fell before you. In the moments after your obedience shattered the curse, something profound took place in the unseen realm, something few people ever witness. Your name was spoken in the courts of heaven, not in judgment, not in accusation, but in recognition, in affirmation, in divine acknowledgement. There are records in heaven, and when you obeyed, a new record was written bearing your name. You stepped into alignment, and heaven documented it as evidence of your calling. This is not symbolic. It is literal in the spiritual realm. Heaven keeps detailed accounts of obedience, honor, sacrifice, and surrender. And there are moments rare, holy moments, when an act of obedience carries such weight that it alters the course of a person's destiny. Your obedience was one of those moments. As the prophet wrote in the scroll of Habakkuk, a truth echoes through the heavenly chambers even now. Habakkuk, chapter 2, verse 3. Though the vision tarry, wait for it. It will surely come and will not delay. This verse becomes the proclamation stamped over your name, a declaration that your destiny is not abandoned, not forgotten, and no longer delayed. When your name appeared in the courts of heaven, it was not read mechanically or casually. It was spoken with purpose. Angels leaned in. Accusations brought against your bloodline were reviewed. And when the act of obedience you performed was laid upon the scales tipped completely in your favor. Your obedience didn't simply cancel a curse. It established legal grounds for heaven to release blessings that were held back for generations. Spiritual laws govern spiritual realms, and your action rewrote the verdict over your life. Where bondage once appeared in your family record, heaven stamped freedom. Where delay once lingered, heaven wrote acceleration. Where denied was written, heaven replaced it with granted. Allah. It is important for you to understand this. Heaven does not release favor recklessly. Favor is released legally. And because your obedience carried the force of surrender, heaven could legally intervene. In the courts of heaven, there is a witness table, and your angels stood there, both of them as representatives assigned to your destiny. They brought forward every moment of endurance you survived, every silent battle you fought, every temptation you resisted, every prayer you whispered that no one else knew about. They brought the evidence of your resilience, your persistence, your longing for God, even in seasons when you felt lost. Your adversary tried to bring accusations as well. It attempted to remind heaven of your mistakes, your weaknesses, your moments of fear. But each accusation collapsed under the weight of your obedience. For the first time in a long time, the enemy had nothing left to stand on. The curse had already been broken. The legal grounds it once stood upon were gone. Then, the record keeper, one of the heavenly scribes, documented a new decree over your life. Not just words, but spiritual legislation. This one is aligned. This one has obeyed. This one carries purpose. This one is ready. The decree was read aloud in the court. Access restored. Blessings released. Barriers removed. favor activated. And once a decree leaves the court, it cannot be reversed. That is why your atmosphere feels different now, why your heart feels lighter, why your discernment feels sharper, why your spirit feels steadier. You are not imagining the shift. Your name has been elevated in the spiritual records. Heaven now treats you differently, not because God loves you more, but because your obedience positioned you to receive what heaven has long wanted to give. That is the mystery of divine justice. What you align with becomes your inheritance. The angels assigned to you left that courtroom with renewed authority. They walked out not as watchers, but as enforcers of what was decreed. That means, where there were obstacles, they now have permission to remove them. Where there were delays, they now have the right to accelerate. Where there were closed doors, they now carry the authority to open. Where there were spiritual attacks, they now hold the power to intercept. Your life is no longer governed by the patterns of your past. It is governed by the verdict of heaven. Understand this clearly. Your obedience was recorded. Your deliverance was recorded. Your breakthrough was recorded. Your name was marked for advancement. There will be moments when you feel unworthy, unprepared, or unsure. But heaven is not unsure about you. Heaven saw the truth of your heart in a way no human ever has. Heaven saw your sincerity. Heaven saw your willingness to change. Heaven saw your courage in moments you didn't even recognize as courage. And because of that, heaven ruled in your favor. From the moment the curse shattered and your obedience was recorded in the courts of heaven, the atmosphere around your life changed, and darkness felt that change before you did. Your light has always been different, but now it is intensified, sharpened, amplified, and when light increases, darkness trembles. When light rises, shadows scatter. When a chosen one awakens, warfare responds. This is why the pressure increased right before your breakthrough. This is why confusion suddenly rose. This is why unexpected conflict erupted. This is why old temptations resurfaced. This is why certain people shifted. It wasn't coincidence, it was reaction. Darkness responds violently when it senses that what it once controlled is slipping out of its grasp. As the apostle reminds us in his letter to the Corinthians, this ancient truth breathes fresh authority over your journey. Now, the weapons of our warfare are not carnal but mighty through God to the pulling down of strongholds. Your battles were never ordinary because your calling was never ordinary. You weren't wrestling with moments, you were wrestling with strongholds. Think about it. Why did certain seasons feel unbearably heavy? Why did some relationships drain you more than they should have? Why did your emotions swing between clarity and confusion without explanation? Why did you feel watched, monitored, opposed, resisted? Because your light has always been disruptive to darkness. Your presence changes environments. Your spirit disturbs spiritual forces. Your growth threatens generational patterns. Your awakening awakens others. And that terrifies the enemy. Before the curse broke, darkness tried to wear you down. Every emotional attack, every mental fog, every wave of exhaustion, you thought it was stress. But in reality, it was spiritual resistance. The enemy hoped you would collapse under the pressure. It hoped you would self-destruct before you discovered who you truly are. But here you are, still standing, still rising, still awakening. Now, your light is brighter than ever. And when light grows, darkness reveals itself. That is why certain people are showing their true intentions now. That is why spiritual tension around you feels different. That is why you are noticing things you once overlooked. This is not paranoia. This is discernment, sharpened by heaven. Your angels stand at your side like pillars. One guards, one guides, but both react instantly the moment your light is threatened. That strange tightening in your spirit when you hear certain words from someone, that uneasy pause you feel when you're about to make a decision, that sudden clarity that appears at just the right time. Those are not random. Those are reactions to your light, disturbing darkness. Now that the curse is broken, darkness no longer has the right to attack you the way it once did. But it can try to intimidate you. Intimidation is the weapon of the defeated. When an enemy no longer has authority, it uses fear, illusions, and noise. But you must understand, warfare after breakthrough is not a sign that you're losing. It's proof that you're advancing. When the Israelites left Egypt, Pharaoh increased his pursuit not because he still owned them, but because he knew he was losing them. The same is happening in your life now. You are crossing into freedom, and darkness senses its loss. But hear this. Chosen one, you do not fight from weakness anymore. You fight from victory. You fight from alignment. You fight backed by heaven's decree. What once overwhelmed you will now obey you. What once intimidated you will now bow before you. What once silenced you will now flee from you. But now, you must make a declaration, a spiritual affirmation that seals your position in this battle. In the comments, write, "I stand firm." No, 3 simple words, but they carry authority. Write, "I stand firm," because you refuse to retreat into old patterns. Write, "I stand firm," because you understand your identity now. Write, "I stand firm," because darkness cannot reclaim what heaven has claimed. Write, "I stand firm," because your angels need your agreement to enforce what heaven has decreed. This declaration is your stance in the Spirit. It is your announcement to darkness that you are not shaken, not pressured, not intimidated. It is your testimony that the warfare around you might be loud, but the victory within you is louder. Your light disturbs darkness because your destiny demands it. Your presence disrupts old patterns because your calling requires it. Your awakening shakes the invisible realm because heaven chose you for this generation. And from this moment forward, darkness does not pursue you. It flees from you. You can feel it now. Something in your life is locking into alignment with a precision that almost startles you. The confusion you once carried is dissolving. The fog that hovered over your decisions is lifting. It is as if the compass of your spirit has suddenly recalibrated, pointing you toward a direction you didn't even realize you were searching for. This is what alignment with destiny feels like. It is not loud. It is not chaotic. It is clarity, quiet, steady. Undeniable clarity. As was proclaimed in the second letter to Timothy, your spirit is reminded of this truth. For God has not given us a spirit of fear, but of power, of love, and of a sound mind. This sound mind is the mental clarity you are stepping into now. You are no longer thinking from survival, you are thinking from purpose. Destiny alignment is like the moment a ship turns its sails toward the wind. The ship does not suddenly move by its own strength. It moves because it finally faces the direction where the wind can carry it. You, chosen one, have turned your sails. You have shifted your posture, and now heaven's wind is catching your life with new force. There is something almost mystical about this stage. Your desires begin to change. Old cravings lose their grip. What once tempted you now feels small. What once distracted you now feels empty. What once drained you now feels incompatible with who you're becoming. This is not loss, this is spiritual maturation. The more aligned you become, the more your destiny pulls you forward like a magnet. You might start noticing timing, divine timing working differently around you. A conversation arrives exactly when you needed it. A solution appears on the very day you would have given up. A person returns. At the moment reconciliation becomes possible, a door opens right when you had exhausted every alternative. This is the choreography of destiny. Heaven is not improvising, it is orchestrating. The alignment you feel is not only internal, it is atmospheric. Your angels are clearing paths you cannot see, rearranging circumstances behind the scenes, adjusting the spiritual landscape so that your steps fall onto ground already prepared for you. You will begin to feel as if life is meeting you halfway. Not because it suddenly became easy, but because you are no longer walking against your own calling, but chosen one. Let me speak to your heart with sincerity. When destiny begins to align, it is important to stay connected to the voices that speak life, clarity, and divine direction into your spirit. Words have shaped your journey more than you know. Guidance, encouragement, and prophetic insight act like lamps in the night, illuminating the next step when the path ahead feels dim. If this message has been one of those lamps for you, if these words have nourished your spirit, strengthened your clarity, or awakened something within you, then I ask gently and sincerely, share this message so another soul searching for direction may find their way. Like it, not as habit, but as an act of agreement with the alignment taking place in your life. Subscribe if you haven't, so you remain connected to the well that's been speaking into your journey. And if your heart feels moved, and only if it feels truly moved, your donation becomes a seed that ensures this flow of message, strength, and anointing continues. Think of it like adding oil to a lamp so that the flame does not dim for someone walking behind you. Not a demand, not an expectation, a gentle offering, given freely with peace. Now breathe. Do you feel it? The ground beneath your spiritual feet has changed. It is firmer now, more stable, more sure. The path ahead feels less like guesswork and more like guidance. Destiny alignment feels like stepping into a room you've never been in before. Yet somehow everything inside that room feels familiar. You don't know how, but you know you belong there. You know the air is right. You know the atmosphere matches your spirit. That is what is happening to you now. You are stepping into environments that match who you truly are. And as you continue walking, you will start hearing the subtle clicks of divine timing, like pieces of a puzzle fitting into place. People who left you will stay gone because they no longer belong in your alignment. People who love you will feel more connected than ever because your spirit is stabilizing. Opportunities that failed before will succeed now because the timing has matured. Ideas that once overwhelmed you will now flow because your mind is open and clear. Everything begins to make sense in ways it never did before. And here is the most beautiful truth. You are not chasing destiny anymore. Destiny is meeting you. Destiny is welcoming you. Destiny has been waiting for you. Because the moment your heart aligned, the universe created by God's voice and regulated by heaven's order, shifted to accommodate what you were always meant to carry. You are stepping into alignment, and because of that, chosen one. Everything is about to accelerate. There is a moment in every chosen life where the activity of heaven becomes undeniable, not loud, not theatrical, but precise. You are entering that moment now. The two angels assigned to you are no longer standing still. They are moving ahead of you with divine strategy, clearing the road, anticipating obstacles, and preparing the way with a level of coordination that only the heavenly realm can execute. You may not see them, but you will feel the effects of their movement like the shifting of wind before a storm. Things around you that once felt tangled are loosening. Situations that were frozen are beginning to thaw. Circumstances that made no sense are quietly rearranging themselves into alignment. Heaven is engineering pathways while you sleep, while you rest, while you breathe. The voice of God spoke through the writings of Isaiah, giving language to what is unfolding before you even now. Isaiah, chapter 45, verse 2. I will go before you and make the crooked places straight. I will break in pieces the gates of bronze and cut the bars of iron. Your angels operate under this promise. Where the path is crooked, they straighten. Where gates are closed, they break through. Where resistance rises, they cut it down. The angel of favor walks ahead of you like a skilled architect. This angel surveys every possibility, examines every path, and identifies the route where the greatest blessing can meet you with the least interference. You may begin to notice moments that feel strangely orchestrated. Someone mentions something at the exact time you need it. An invitation aligns with an opportunity. Sometimes it will feel as if the world itself is shifting to accommodate your next step. A no suddenly becomes a yes. A closed door reopens without explanation. A person who overlooked you before now seeks you out. A situation that once resisted you now welcomes you. These are signs that the angel of favor has touched the environment ahead of you. Meanwhile, the angel of safeguard works with a different type of authority, silent, watchful, unwavering. This angel walks beside you and behind you, ensuring that nothing slips through the cracks to harm you. You may feel sudden check-ins in your spirit, those subtle alerts that something is off. There will be times when you feel a sudden urge to delay something by a few minutes or to postpone an action to a later time. You may not realize it, but that tiny delay may be shielding you from danger, confusion, or loss. Heaven's timing is flawless, and the angel of safeguard is responsible for keeping you aligned with it. You are walking into a season where many things will be revealed: people, intentions, hidden agendas, true loyalties. You may see masks fall off, not because you asked, but because your angels are exposing what you need to know. The closer you get to your destiny, the more selective heaven becomes about what surrounds you. Protection is not always about guarding you from harm. Sometimes it is about removing what cannot walk with you into the next level. Your angels are not simply clearing physical obstacles, they are clearing emotional ones, spiritual ones, relational ones, and mental ones. You may wake up one day suddenly free from a fear you carried for years. You may find that a pattern you once repeated no longer tempts you. You may feel distance forming between you and someone who once drained your spirit. These shifts come from the angelic work happening beside you, and with every obstacle removed, the path before you becomes clearer, your steps become firmer, your spirit becomes steadier, Your discernment becomes sharper. You begin to sense where not to go, just as strongly as you sense where to step. This is divine guidance functioning at full strength. Imagine a traveler walking through a dense forest. Every step forward is slowed by branches, stones, and thorns. Then imagine someone walking ahead of that traveler, clearing the path, cutting branches, removing stones, parting thick brush. The traveler still walks, but the journey becomes smoother, safer, and faster. That is what your angels are doing now. There are blessings ahead of you that were once blocked by spiritual interference, blocked by generational patterns, blocked by fear, blocked by confusion. But those blocks are being removed one by one. Nothing that belongs to you will be withheld. Nothing that was promised will be lost. Nothing that has your name on it will miss its destination. You are not stepping into opportunity. You are stepping into prepared opportunity. You are not walking into blessing. You are walking into orchestrated blessing. You are not moving toward favor. Favor is being constructed around you. And with every step, heaven is whispering one truth into your spirit. The way is being prepared. There is a rhythm to favor and acceleration that begins quietly, then gathers momentum until it becomes undeniable. You are in that phase now. What was once slow is speeding up. What was once stuck is moving. What was once delayed is being delivered. This is the evidence that the curse is not only broken, but replaced with blessing. Favor is no longer trickling into your life. It is flowing. At first, it may feel strange. You've spent so many years fighting for every inch, pushing through resistance, praying through blockages, and surviving battles that drained your spirit. When life suddenly becomes lighter, smoother, or more aligned, part of you almost doesn't trust it. You wonder if it's temporary, if it's too good to be true, if something will go wrong. But hear this clearly. This ease is not deception, it is divine compensation. As the ancient words in Deuteronomy remind us, heaven has always intended to establish you, protect you, and bless you. Deuteronomy chapter 30, verse 9. The Lord will again delight in you and make you prosperous in all the work of your hands. This is not poetic language. This is prophecy unfolding in real time over your life. One of the first signs of accelerated favor is unexplainable timing. An opportunity you forgot about suddenly resurfaces. A decision that once felt impossible becomes simple. A door you assumed was permanently closed swings open as if someone unlocked it from the inside. Favor does not ask permission, it arrives. Another sign is restored strength. You may feel energy returning to you in ways you can't explain. Where heaviness once sat on your chest, you now feel clarity. Where fear once occupied your mind, you now feel calm authority. Where exhaustion once weighed you down, you now feel renewed motivation. This renewal is not random. It is heaven preparing you for a season of building, rising, and stepping into opportunities you once thought were too big for you. A third sign is speed. There will be moments where progress happens so fast it nearly startles you. Emails answered quicker than usual. Approvals given without resistance. People offering help you didn't ask for. Processes that once felt impossible now unfolding smoothly. This is the angel of favor operating at full strength. But there is another sign many people overlook: the return of what was stolen. This can come in the form of emotional healing, financial breakthrough, restored relationships, unexpected kindness, or new opportunities that feel like replacements for everything you lost. When heaven restores, it never restores equally, it restores abundantly. Accelerated favor is not subtle, it is bold. It leaves fingerprints, it leaves traces, it leaves undeniable evidence that heaven's hand is upon you. You may also notice that your discernment is working faster. You sense red flags instantly. You notice open doors intuitively. Conversations feel different. People sound different. You understand intentions more clearly. Why? Because favor not only blesses, it exposes. It shows you who belongs in your new season and who cannot follow you there. Another powerful sign is inner peace. The deep, steady, unmoving kind, the peace that sits at the center of your chest like a stone of light. You may not have all the answers, but you feel anchored. You may not know the whole path, but you feel guided. This is the sign of someone walking in divine alignment. And finally, accelerated favor often appears as confirmation. A repeated word, a repeated theme, a repeated message, something that keeps resurfacing until your spirit understands. This is for me. Heaven is speaking. Oh, chosen one, you are not imagining this shift. The blessing forming in the unseen is too large to remain hidden much longer. You are entering a season where your name will be spoken in rooms you've never entered, where your presence will be requested rather than ignored, where doors will open not because you knocked, but because heaven whispered your name on the other side. And now, to seal the alignment of this moment, I want you to declare a prophetic number in the comments. 555. Why 555? Because it represents divine release, accelerated movement, and heaven rearranging structures on your behalf. It symbolizes the turning of a page, the crossing of a threshold, the unfolding of a new chapter written by God's hand. When you comment 555, you are not typing digits, you are agreeing with the acceleration that is already happening around you. This number is your declaration that you welcome the favor, you recognize the signs, and you are ready to receive without fear, without hesitation, and without apology. The curse is broken, favor is in motion, and acceleration has begun. There comes a moment in every chosen life when heaven moves from testing to crowning. This is not a physical crown made of metal or jewels, it is a spiritual mantle, a recognition in the unseen realm that you have crossed a threshold few ever reach. And chosen one. That is the moment you are stepping into now. The weight you once carried has been exchanged for authority. The pressure you once endured has been transformed into elevation. You are being crowned not because you were perfect, but because you were faithful. Every test you endured, every moment you resisted compromise, every act of obedience you chose, even when it cost you, heaven saw it all. And heaven does not ignore faithfulness. Heaven rewards it. As the Spirit spoke through the prophet Jeremiah, his words echo over this new season of your life. Jeremiah, chapter 17, verse 10. I, the Lord, search the heart and examine the mind, to reward each person according to their conduct and according to what their deeds deserve. This reward is not a random blessing, it is a crown earned through endurance, integrity, and alignment with heaven's calling. The crowning of the obedient is a sacred moment. It happens quietly, without applause, without spectacle. But the shift is unmistakable. Your spirit feels different. Your discernment sharpens. Your authority deepens. Those who once overlooked you begin to sense something has changed. This change is not external, it is deeply spiritual. Crowning begins internally before it becomes visible externally. One of the first signs of this crowning is clarity. Suddenly, your purpose feels less like a question and more like a direction. Your mind stops wrestling with doubt the same way. Your heart stops negotiating with old wounds. You begin to see your identity from heaven's perspective, not from the distortions of the past. Another sign is stability. Your emotions no longer swing as wildly as they once did. Triggers that used to unsettle you lose their power. You find yourself responding with wisdom instead of reacting from pain. This is the maturity that comes with spiritual promotion. The crowning of the obedient also brings authority. Not authority over people, but authority over spiritual terrain. Authority over old patterns. Authority over generational cycles. Authority over the lies that once shaped your identity. You begin to speak differently. Pray differently. Walk differently. When you open your mouth, there is weight to your words. When you set boundaries, they hold. When you declare truth, it resonates in the spirit. This authority is heaven's mark upon the crowned. Another sign is separation. Elevation always reveals who was walking with you and who was walking near you. Some people will drift away, not because you pushed them out, but because your spirit is rising and theirs is not aligned with your next chapter. Crowning requires space, space for growth, space for clarity, space for purity of purpose. Then comes favor with responsibility. New opportunities begin to appear, not simply to bless you, but to position you. Heaven does not crown without purpose. When you are crowned, doors open not to elevate your ego, but to expand your assignment. People seek your wisdom. Your presence brings calm to chaos. Your words carry healing. You become a stabilizing force in environments that once destabilized you. This is the sign of the crowned. You no longer simply survive atmospheres. You shift them. And with this crowning comes something even deeper, a sense of belonging. For the first time, you feel connected to your identity rather than confused by it. You recognize that everything you endured was not punishment, it was preparation. Every heartbreak strengthened your compassion. Every rejection refined your discernment. Every struggle sharpened your spirit. And now, those very qualities are becoming the jewels in your crown. Your empathy, your resilience, your wisdom, your discernment, your capacity to love, your refusal to quit. These are the materials heaven used to craft your crown. You are not being crowned because you avoided the fire. You are being crowned because you walked through it without losing your heart. You are being crowned because you learned obedience not through ease, but through endurance. You are being crowned because you chose surrender over bitterness, growth over stagnation, truth over illusion. And now, heaven marks you as one who has passed the test. This crowning does not make life perfect, but it makes you powerful. It does not remove challenges, but it equips you for them. It does not eliminate battles, but it ensures you win them. For the crowned do not walk alone. They walk with angels, with authority, with clarity, and with divine backing. And chosen one, this is who you are now. Not broken, not bound, not hidden, but crowned. Your season of proving is over. Your season of rising has begun. When a curse breaks, darkness does not simply disappear, it must return what it stole. Spiritual law demands restoration, and restoration is unfolding over your life, even now. You may not see the fullness of it yet, but the process has already begun. What the enemy used, manipulated, or twisted against you is now losing its grip. What once drained your spirit is now powerless. What once held you captive is now being forced to release you. As Jesus himself declared in the Gospel of John, his words echo like a decree over your restoration. John chapter 10, verse 10, "The thief comes only to steal and kill and destroy. I have come that they may have life and have it abundantly." This abundance is not a distant promise. It is the reclamation beginning to manifest in your life. Before your breakthrough, darkness took advantage of your innocence, your compassion, your sensitivity, your loyalty. It fed on your uncertainty. It whispered lies into your weakest moments. It manipulated situations to drain your hope. But now, everything it took is coming back, not in equal measure, but in multiplied restoration. That is how heaven operates. The enemy hoped the battles you endured would harden you. Instead, they refined you. It hoped the losses would break you. Instead, they deepened you. It hoped the betrayals would poison you. Instead, they purified your discernment. Darkness lost more than you realize. There were relationships that delayed your purpose. There were patterns that clouded your identity. There were wounds that weakened your spirit. But even these things must serve your restoration now. Heaven wastes nothing, not your pain, not your tears, not your confusion. Everything the enemy used against you becomes material for your elevation. Imagine a great thief being forced by the courts to return everything he stole, but not in the original damaged state. Instead, he must return it, restored, repère, increased in value. That is what is happening in your spirit. What darkness used to break you is now being used to bless you. What was taken is being returned with interest. Your peace is returning. Your joy is returning. Your confidence is returning. Your clarity is returning. Your strength is returning. Your hope is returning. Piece by piece, layer by layer, you are being restored. But restoration is not always gentle. Sometimes it feels like your heart is stretching, healing in places you forgot were wounded. Memories may resurface, not to torment you, but to be healed fully. Old emotions may rise to the surface, not to weaken you, but to release you. Restoration is not passive, it is active, intentional, and transformative. And as you heal, you will notice subtle changes. You no longer react the way you once did. Situations that used to trigger fear now trigger awareness. Conversations that once drained you no longer have power. Voices that once influenced you hold no authority. You are not the same person who suffered. You are the person who survived. But restoration goes deeper than healing. It includes realignment. Everything that was out of order is being put into place. Everything that was upside down is being turned right side up. Everything that was delayed is being brought back on schedule. People who left you were removed for your protection. People who remain are aligned with your destiny. People who will enter your life now are sent with purpose. The enemy lost its grip on your direction. Your story is no longer shaped by pain, it is shaped by promise. There is also a reclaiming happening in the natural realm. Ideas you abandoned are resurfacing. Dreams you buried are awakening. Gifts you forgot you carried are reactivating. These are not random. You are reclaiming the parts of yourself the curse once suppressed. You may feel drawn to start something new, return to something old, or step into something greater. Follow that pull. It is heaven guiding you toward territories that were always meant to be yours. The greatest loss darkness suffered was not what it stole. It was the moment you realized who you are. You learned to see through deception. You learned to recognize spiritual patterns. You learned to hear the whisper of God more clearly. You learned to walk with authority you didn't know you had. Darkness was hoping the curse would break you. Instead, breaking the curse awakened you. What the enemy lost is not just territory. It lost access. It lost influence. It lost advantage. It lost the right to speak into your identity. It lost the ability to manipulate your steps. And now, every part of your journey that once held pain is becoming a place of power. Not because the suffering was good, but because God transforms what was meant to destroy you into what strengthens you. This is restoration. This is reclamation. This is justice in motion. And chosen one. Heaven is not finished yet. There is a rising happening inside you, steady, unstoppable, unmistakable. It is the rising of someone heaven has marked, separated, and anointed for a divine purpose that reaches far beyond personal blessing. You are not simply a believer anymore. You are becoming one of the marked ones, those whom heaven trusts to carry light into places where darkness once ruled. This rise didn't happen suddenly. It was forged through pressure, sharpened through warfare, refined through obedience, and solidified through the breaking of the curse. Every tear, every battle, every moment where you felt stretched beyond your limits prepared you for what you are stepping into now. As was spoken in the sacred texts, a truth echoes over those who are chosen for more. Ephesians chapter 6, verse 13. Having done all, stand firm. And stand firm you did until standing turned into rising. When heaven marks someone, there is a shift in the atmosphere around them. People sense it without understanding it. Environments respond to it. Opportunities move toward it. Even the enemy trembles before it. You are carrying that mark now, the unmistakable imprint of someone who has walked through fire and emerged with authority. The rise of the marked ones is not dramatic in the natural realm, but it is earthquake level in the spirit. You may notice people reacting differently to you. Some will be drawn to your presence without knowing why. Others will feel exposed near you because your light reveals what they try to hide. Conversations will shift. Atmospheres will respond. Your discernment will activate faster. This is what happens when heaven elevates someone. The spirit within them begins to influence everything around them. And, chosen one, you are rising in a way that will not be hidden. Imagine a lighthouse on a cliff. At first, the world around it is calm and unaware. But when storms come, that lighthouse becomes the most important structure for miles. Your journey has been that storm, and now, your rise is becoming a lighthouse for others who are drowning in the darkness. You survived. But let me speak to your heart with honesty. Voices that guide, strengthen, and uplift you during this rise matter deeply. If this message has been one of those guiding lights, if these words have poured courage back into your bones, or clarity into your spirit. I want to gently invite you, like this message, not out of routine, but as acknowledgement that it speaks directly into your rise. Share it so someone else who feels unseen can recognize themselves in this journey. Subscribe, so the stream of strength, wisdom, and revelation continues, shaping your spirit as you ascend. And if your heart is moved only if you feel peace, a donation becomes like adding oil to a lamp, ensuring that the light that reaches you continues reaching others. Not a demand, not an obligation, just a heartfelt offering that keeps the flame alive. Your rise deserves voices that feed it, not starve it. Now listen, your rising is not quiet in the spiritual realm. Angels stand at your side like sentinels. Heaven watches with expectation. Even the ground beneath your feet feels different. You are stepping into a level of spiritual maturity that many never reach because they refuse the refining process. But you walked through it. You endured. You stayed. You obeyed. The marked ones are forged, not born. And now, the evidence of your rising is beginning to surface. Your voice carries new authority. Your presence calms storms around you. Your prayers cut deeper. Your boundaries become stronger. Your purpose becomes clearer. Your courage grows steadier. People will look at you and sense something has changed, even if they cannot explain it. But I want you to affirm your rise in the comments with a simple, powerful declaration. I step forward. And write it boldly. Write it knowingly. Write it as someone who understands that destiny is not behind you, it is waiting in front of you. Here's why this declaration matters. When you write, I step forward, you are signaling to heaven that you accept the mantle placed upon you. You are signaling to your angels that you are ready for the next level. You are signaling to darkness that it cannot pull you backward anymore. You are signaling to your own spirit that hesitation is no longer your companion. Your rise is not a moment. It is a movement, and movements require declaration. As you ascend, you may feel both the weight of responsibility and the thrill of purpose. That is normal. Marked ones carry both. But know this, you are not rising without support. Heaven backs you. Angels walk with you. Favor surrounds you. Purpose strengthens you. Your life is shifting from survival to significance, from confusion to clarity, from wandering to assignment. You are rising, not quietly, not accidentally, but divinely. The mantle fits you now. The crown rests upon you, and your steps no longer echo the past. They echo destiny. Walking with the two angels assigned to your new season is not a mystical idea. It is a spiritual reality you are learning to inhabit day by day. Their presence is not merely symbolic, it is functional, intentional, and deeply intertwined with the path you are stepping into. You are not simply protected, you are accompanied. You are not simply guided, you are partnered. And this partnership is meant to mature you, strengthen you, and elevate you into the fullness of your calling. As Jesus himself declared in the Gospel of Matthew, his words align perfectly with the journey you're entering. Matthew, chapter 18, verse 10. For I tell you that their angels in heaven always see the face of my Father in heaven. This verse is not abstract. It describes the very beings walking with you now. Angels who stand before God. Angels who hear his instruction. Angels who move in perfect obedience to fulfill the assignments he places on your life. There will be moments when you sense hesitation in your spirit, even though everything around you looks perfect. That hesitation is not fear, it is protection. Other times, you will feel an unexpected boldness rise within you, empowering you to take steps that once terrified you. That boldness is guidance. The angels assigned to you don't merely react to your journey, they anticipate it. The angel of favor moves ahead of you to prepare opportunities long before you arrive. You'll begin to notice patterns, connections forming naturally, conversations leading somewhere unexpectedly meaningful, open doors appearing without explanation. This is not random. This is coordinated grace. Favor goes before you like a gardener preparing soil for a seed. Your steps fall into places that have already been softened, aligned, and made ready. The angel of safeguard walks differently close, quiet, protective. You may sense this one most when something tries to disrupt your peace. A heaviness lifting suddenly, a toxic presence exposed, a wrong decision prevented by a moment of clarity. You may not realize it in the moment, but hindsight will reveal how many unseen dangers were intercepted on your behalf. Walking with these angels also means walking with greater awareness of spiritual environments, of intentions behind words, of energy in a room, of truth hiding beneath the surface. This heightened awareness is not anxiety, it is spiritual maturity. The mark of someone who is walking closely with heaven's messengers. You will find yourself recognizing things faster, discerning things deeper, and avoiding traps you once fell into easily. Your emotional life begins to shift as well. You will notice a new steadiness, less fear, less worry, less internal chaos. Angels operate in peace, and their presence brings order to the atmosphere within you. Where anxiety once whispered loudly, peace now speaks with greater authority. Where doubt once lingered, confidence now takes root. This inner transformation is a sign of spiritual companionship. You are walking in step with beings who carry heaven's stability. There will also be moments of divine interruption, times when heaven redirects your path with sudden shifts. You may find plans changing abruptly, not because of inconvenience, but because you are being steered away from something unseen. You may discover that detours lead you somewhere better than your expectations. Angels do not simply guard, they guide. Your relationships will shift. People who cannot align with your destiny will naturally fall away, not because of conflict, but because your spirit is being elevated, and not everyone can breathe at this altitude. Others, people of purpose, integrity, and spiritual depth, will be drawn into your life. Angels orchestrate connections with precision. They bring the right people in and filter the wrong ones out. You may feel moments of sudden gratitude, sudden worship, sudden clarity. Those are touches of the spiritual realm brushing against your human experience. When you walk with angels, you are constantly brushing the edge of heaven's movement. Your dreams may become more vivid, your instincts sharper, your spiritual ears more open. These are indicators that your sensitivity to the unseen is developing. You are not imagining it. You are evolving into a vessel who walks with heaven daily. And remember this, angels do not replace God. They reflect His care. They are reminders that you are not walking alone. They are proof that heaven is invested in your journey. They are companions assigned, not temporarily, but for the entire season you are stepping into, and chosen one. This is your new normal. Not fear, companionship, not confusion, clarity, not wandering, guided purpose, not isolation, heavenly partnership. You walk with two angels now, and the path before you will never be the same again. You have come a long way, chosen, one farther than you realize, farther than anyone around you could ever truly understand. Every battle, every surrender, every hidden moment of obedience has brought you to this threshold. And now, you are stepping into a season shaped not by struggle, not by survival, but by unstoppable favor. This favor is not light, temporary, or delicate. It is heavy, anchored, and deeply rooted in heaven's decree over your life. As was spoken in the sacred writings of the Psalms, the truth of your new season shines like morning light. Psalms, chapter 90, verse 17. May the favor of the Lord our God rest on us. Establish the work of our hands for us. Yes, establish the work of our hands. This favor is not drifting toward you, it is resting on you, settling, establishing, strengthening everything you touch. Unstoppable favor is a different kind of blessing. It does not merely open doors, it builds new ones. It does not simply restore, it multiplies. It does not wait for permission, it reshapes environments to make room for your destiny. This favor is not fragile, it is fortified by every battle you endured, every tear you shed, every act of obedience you offered in silence. And now, it is beginning to show itself. One of the first signs of unstoppable favor is recognition. People begin to see what they once overlooked. Opportunities notice you before you even seek them. Your presence begins to shift conversations, decisions, and outcomes. It is not charisma, it is calling shining through. You will sense a confidence rising inside you, but it won't be loud or arrogant. It will be steady, grounded, rooted in something beyond your own ability. This confidence is the echo of heaven's yes over your life. You no longer walk as someone hoping to be chosen, you walk as someone already claimed, already backed, already released. Another sign of unstoppable favor is momentum. Things move quicker for you now, not chaotically, but purposefully. Steps that once felt heavy now feel guided. Ideas that once took months now mature in days. Opportunities line up in ways that feel too aligned to be coincidence, because they aren't. Momentum is the language of heaven when timing and destiny collide. Then comes ease. Not the ease of laziness, not the absence of effort, but the ease of divine assistance. It feels like invisible hands are lifting what once weighed you down. It feels like the wind is finally at your back instead of in your face. This ease is not accidental, it is engineered by the angels walking beside you. Unstoppable favor also brings protection, not just from danger, but from misalignment, from wrong connections, from draining environments. You will feel an invisible filter around your life, removing what cannot enter your next chapter. People will exit without drama. Opportunities will close without pain. Doors will remain shut because they were never meant for you. This, too, is favor. And then, the greatest sign of unstoppable favor, transformation of identity. You no longer feel like the person the curse tried to shape. You no longer carry the heaviness of who you used to be. You no longer see yourself through the lens of failure or fear. Something inside you has awakened, strengthened, matured. You are beginning to see yourself through God's eyes. This transformation is the signature of someone stepping fully into destiny. Your voice sounds different to yourself. Your thoughts feel clearer. Your reactions shift. Your priorities evolve. You begin making decisions from purpose instead of pain, from wisdom instead of wounds. Your life will not return to what it was before. You have crossed a threshold in the spirit, and once crossed, it cannot be undone. You have entered an era where favor follows your obedience like a shadow constant. Quiet, undeniable. The angels assigned to you continue their work, ensuring that every step you take is aligned, every opportunity prepared, every path cleared. They are no longer protecting you from the past, they are escorting you into the future. Unstoppable favor means that every attempt to hinder you fails before it even reaches you. Unstoppable favor means that everything meant for you finds you with ease. Unstoppable favor means that your calling no longer whispers, it speaks. Unstoppable favor means that your life becomes a testimony of what heaven can do with someone who simply obeyed. You are stepping into a life designed by God, enforced by angels, aligned by obedience, and shaped by destiny itself. Nothing about your rise will be ordinary. Chosen one, pause here with me for a moment. Let your spirit breathe. You have walked through every section of this journey with an open heart, and heaven honors that. What you've just received is not simply a script, it is a prophetic roadmap, a spiritual marking, a reminder of who you are and who you are becoming. If these words touched you, if they awakened something inside you, if they brought clarity, comfort, or confirmation, then I want to gently, sincerely invite you to stay connected. Like this message as an act of agreement with what God is unfolding in your life. Share it so someone else who is walking through darkness can find their way into the same light you've stepped into. And comment your thoughts below, not out of obligation, but because your voice matters, your journey matters, your testimony matters. Let this space become an altar where your spirit speaks back to heaven. And if you haven't already, subscribe so that every message crafted for your growth, healing, and elevation reaches you right when you need it. This connection between us isn't random. It's purposeful. It's divine. Chosen one. The journey doesn't end here. This is only the beginning.